Natalie Realtor, and I wanted to introduce you to my favorite property manager in Ventura County, and also talk with you about all of the things that you need to know before you go out there and apply for your dream rental property, which would be obviously our average 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single family residence in the county of Ventura. Peter knows everything you need to know, and I want to bring this information to you. It's very important. I hope that you guys have 15 minutes for us to just listen to all of the good stuff that we have to tell you. My name is Melissa Hunter again. I'm a local real estate agent with the Walters Group at eXp Realty. And I want to hand off the introduction to Peter so that he can talk about himself a little bit. Peter, take it away.
Thanks for having me, Melissa. Glad to be here. So my name is Peter McKenzie. I'm the owner and broker of Rincon Property Management, and we are a local residential property management company. We've been around for about 8 years, I think, going on 9 years.
Wow.
Myself have owned rental property for probably almost 20 years, which is can't believe it's been that long. But anyhow, so lots of experience being a landlord, dealing with property management type issues. But yeah, glad to be here. Glad to provide as much value as we can for your listeners.
Great. Well, you probably ask yourself, why does Melissa want to bring this information to us? She's a real estate agent. She wants to sell us property. But I think that housing in general is something that as a realtor, we all need to have information about, right? So if I have a resource like you, Peter, that can tell our community how the rental market is going in the area, what they're going to need, that's just going to be more helpful to them. And that's what I want to do, is always just bring information on housing in general in the area. So that's what we're doing today. I know that a lot of people come to me about rental questions. I just had one today. They said, I'm really concerned because 2 of my credit ratings were less than 675, and I think I need a 650, and I don't know what that means. So this is just a great podcast to really bring that information up front. Peter, I'm just going to go into some questions because we don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, let's do it. Yep, fire away.
Great. So the first question is, what is the average rent for Ventura, Oxnard, and Camarillo for a 3+2 bathroom single family home?
Yeah, so obviously it depends on like the location, right? Clearly, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Channel Islands Harbor with a boat dock is going to be way more than your average cookie cutter track house. But we'll just talk about your average 3-bedroom, 2-bath like track style house. In Ventura, you're anywhere from like 3,200 up to 4,000, and obviously depending on like the condition of the houses, what amenities, when's the last time it was updated, that type of a thing. In Oxnard, it's a little less, but still it's roughly 3,000 to 3,900. And then in Camarillo, it's very similar to Ventura, like I'd say 3,200 to 4,000.
Oh, okay. So what would be the difference between the $3,200 rental and the $4,000 rental, like in general, if it's still 3 bedrooms, 2 baths? Is it just—
Yeah, so let's just take as an example 2 houses right next door to each other. So same neighborhood, same house, everything, but just neighbors. So on the lower end, you're going to see maybe carpet, dated fixtures, old countertops, not fresh paint. Maybe the landscape is not in the best shape, kind of a rundown, kind of beat up house, like how you would maybe picture like a rental property, which by the way, we fight to keep all of our properties not looking like rental properties because that's not good for anybody. And then maybe the $4,000 house would have, luxury vinyl planks everywhere, new countertops, new fresh appliances, yard is perfect, that type of a thing. That's just for illustration purposes, but that kind of gives your listeners an idea of what what the differences are. It's no different when somebody wants to sell or buy a house.
Okay.
They're not going to pay top dollar for a house that's run down. They're not also going to pay top rent for a house that's run down.
Yeah, I know that everybody is a little surprised about pricing. And obviously I'm sure that you get that reaction as well. What type of money do these tenants need to make to rent a 3+2 bedroom right now? What's a typical range of income?
Yeah, so this I can speak with authority from our company, but there are landlords that have different requirements. But on average in the industry, people require roughly 3 times the rent in gross income. So, if it's $3,500 property, they need to make roughly $126,000 a year. That's gross. So before taxes and deductions and all that stuff, that's what you would need. That's not always applicable when you get into the entry level market. So in our company, we drop that requirement down to 2.5 times for, say, like a 1-bedroom apartment, because as you go into different price brackets, we want to obviously rent to the most qualified tenant, but there are tenants in those lower, income levels that don't make 3 times, but they're still a good applicant. And it's not just about income. We look at other things like credit scores and collections and landlord references, those types of things. So income is one aspect. We don't just look at one thing, because we're trying to paint a picture of, is this going to be a responsible tenant or not? And you
Yes.
can't go on one thing. If that would be foolish to just look at one metric.
That makes sense because I know people that might have been in their job for 5 or 10 years that might not make triple the amount of rent, but they don't have the overhead,
Mhm.
that would require them to have that kind of money. They could solely, just have the bill for their house and a car and
Mhm.
make double the rent, and that might
Yeah.
make more sense. I know that there's been a few people that I have that are like that, as far as friends that have rented for a long period of time and just don't have any overhead. They don't have the bills.
Yeah. And to speak to that, we use a risk-based system. So the gold standard is 3 times the rent, but we will rent to someone that falls below that. I think the farthest we go down is like 2.6 or 2.7. And we accommodate that extra risk in the form of a higher security deposit. So
Oh,
that's exactly, just because, let's say someone has to make 126,000 and they make 124,000, right? Like that doesn't really make a lot of sense to go, no, you're a bad candidate for this property, you're not going to pay the rent. Like that's a little bit crazy. We offset some of that risk with deposit requirements.
oh, okay. And then that's my next question. What's the typical deposit amount for a 3+2 in West Ventura County?
Yeah, so the standard across the board is 1 month's rent, but legally you're allowed to charge for an unfurnished rental 2 times the rent. If you charge 2 times the rent, though, you start excluding a lot of people because that's $6,000-7,000 just for the deposit.
Mhm.
That can be a financial hardship for some families to come up with. So I know in our company, if you meet all of our advertised requirements, and by the way, we put these in every listing, so there's no, we're all about being transparent and letting everybody know upfront what's required. If
Sure.
if the applicant meets all of our requirements, it's 1 month's rent. And that's like your dream tenant, right? Like they meet all the requirements, they got great credit, great income, good references, 1 month's rent. If they fall short on some of the things, we will offset it with a higher credit score or a higher security deposit, usually around like 1.5 times the rent for the security deposit.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, now, as far as upfront requirements to apply, I mean, I know that the rental market is pretty tight right now as far as like what's available. I mean, when there's a house that comes up in like, say, for example, Camarillo or Ventura or, West Oxnard, what are people gonna expect? I mean, are they gonna need to have everything ready to apply as soon as they get there? I mean, are they applying against 10 people, 20 people? What are you seeing in the market these days?
Yeah, great question. So it does take strategy to get approved for a rental property. Just very similar, no different than you trying to get an offer accepted on a property, which thankfully things are slowing down a little bit. But when it was crazy, like you had to work so hard to get an offer accepted.
Mhm.
Not quite that bad on the rental market, but similar. So in fact, we just put out an article on the changes we're seeing in the rental market because there are some big changes over the last month or two, a lot of them related to interest rates and what that's doing to the market in general. But my advice for someone that's looking for a property is before you even go see it, find it online. If it's even remotely a possibility, put an application in right then and there, because most companies go in chronological order, because there's fair housing laws, and we don't want to discriminate against anybody. The safest way to do it is the first person that applies, that's qualified, gets the property. So
Wow.
what that means is the early bird gets the worm. So it's frustrating to apply and not get it, apply and not get it, apply and not get it. And if you're doing that across multiple companies, it's also very expensive, because on average, it's roughly $50 to put an application in. So
Yeah,
for our company, if you're interested at all, don't wait to go see it, because if you wait to go see it, there's going to be 3 applications that come in front of you and you're not going to get it. Once you apply, you kind of secure your spot in line. And even if you don't like it, you go see it and you go, no, this is not the one, your application's still good for 90 days with us. So then it gives you a little bit of breathing room. You find another property, you go, hey, apply my application to this property, and then you're already there. To speak to what you said about if you have all of your stuff in line,
yes,
I would say that's less important. Just put the application in. If you don't have, for example, if it's asking for a tax return, if you're self-employed, skip that part, hit submit, and then go track down the information and get it to us later. Because if it takes you a week to do, it's over. You lost because there's somebody that came behind you. So hope that makes sense.
yeah, I know that old school, looking for a rental was bring your checkbook. You know?
Yeah.
And, go see the place and then, write out a check for the deposit or something, keep it and they'll hold it and then give you a paper application. And so I think people are still used to that concept,
Mhm.
and they can't get out of that concept as much as just going on a website like rinconpropertymanagement.com, applying for the property, and then going to see it and knowing that your application is in for 90 days as a pre-approved renter, just in case something else comes up, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you're first in line. And that's really the way people are getting what they want. Now, people are renting all day long, but are they getting what they want unless they're doing it this way? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt they're getting what they want. Just another quick question for you, Peter. As far as occupancy rate, like what are, like, on average, how many 3+2 bedroom homes are there right now available in the area?
So we monitor, I mean, I can speak to the occupancy rate for our portfolio with
Yes,
authority. We also loosely monitor Zillow. So 2 months ago, when we were in, the best time in the summer, I think in the city of Ventura at any one time, there was like 30 properties available. Not 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like 30 total, right? Which is, for a city of 110,000 people, is like nothing.
nothing.
And it was crazy. We were getting 10, 15 applications on every vacancy we had. It was kind of out of control. That has changed. So I think we're right around 100 properties available in Ventura. So it more than doubled, and things aren't renting as fast. Now, as far as occupancy rate, 2 months ago, we were right about 2% 2% vacancy rate. So meaning
Yes.
98% of our properties were occupied. Today, it's pushing high 4s, almost 5%. And the big difference is, and this article we just put out last week, is because the interest rates rise so quickly, it is preventing some people from buying and making some sellers go, I'm not going to mess with that. It's too, it's hard for buyers, and the price that's putting downward pressure on the prices, and they're deciding to rent instead of sell. So we are dumping some supply into the rental market, which is good for people who are looking to rent, not so good for the landlord, because we're seeing some price decreases. We track how long it takes a property rent. So the metric that we use is when we release a property for showings to when we have a signed lease.
Yes.
2 months ago, it was like 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
Today, it's 10 days. So it's gone up considerably. The main reason is we had an increase in inventory, in addition to we went into a slower time. Once kids go back to school, there's less people moving around. So it's some changes, and it takes a while for the general, average landlord to understand that, but the market changes when it changes. And I'm probably preaching to the choir on this because the sales market kind of changed overnight on everybody as well.
Most definitely.
And there's nothing you can do about it, right? It
No.
changes and you better adapt or you're going to be left behind, right? It's very similar to the rental market. So we're definitely seeing changes out there. What's important for landlords now is don't be married to that high price. Like during the summer, we could set any price we wanted and somebody would pay it. Not the case now. Like we have to support the prices with comparable comps. We have to be reasonable. We can't ask for the, the moon and get it automatically. And then we want to manage expectations on how long it's going to take to rent. So we're not renting houses out in one day like we were a couple months ago. So
Well, that's good news for the renter.
correct. Yeah.
Our takeaway now is that the market is changing for rental market as well. You have the ability to go online and put in an application that will be available for rentals for 90 days with Rincon Property Management. And also that, with properties taking a little longer to rent, there could be negotiable circumstances where price can change or, just accommodations, how much of a deposit, whatever it is. So, Peter, tell me, how do people get a hold of you guys? What is your contact information?
Sure. So our website is rinconmanagement.com. The name of the company is Rincon Property Management, but we're also on Instagram and YouTube. We put out a ton of educational content for both our clients, the people who own the properties, and renters. And on our website, there's a learning center, and that's where we update it with we probably put out 1 to 2 pieces of content a week. And our goal is to educate our clients and the people that we work with, because we want people to make good decisions and to have all the information that they need. The other thing that I'll say is we have a podcast called The Accidental Landlord, and the whole purpose of the podcast is to educate people who are interested in being landlords or newer landlords on how to do it effectively and tips and tricks. And we bring guests on and whatnot. So.
Oh, that's great, Peter. Well, I know that if I have an investor, somebody that wants to rent their property, somebody that wants to rent a property, they all go to you guys. I think you guys are a great service, and I really love our partnership. Yeah, I'm really glad that you came here today to talk with us about what a person can expect now that the rental market is what it is in Ventura County. I love our county. I run the Ventura Marathon every year, not the full one, the half one, but that's the full one for me.
I ran one half marathon in my life, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. But I will say, you guys are great. You and Jason, and I love sending people back to you, and we take, we appreciate the referrals. You saying you trust us enough to take care of your clients does not go unnoticed, and we do our best to take good care of all of our people that we work with.
Well, thank you, Peter. Again, my name is Melissa Hunter. I'm with the Walters Group at eXp Realty. You can get a hold of me at 805-312-7627 or email me at melissa@waltersgrouprealestate.com, or even go on our website at waltersgrouprealestate.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Peter, thank you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.